Hey, what's up, guys? So today we're going to be going over 7 BMX bikes that do not suck. And I know what you're thinking. Well, why are we talking about bikes that don't suck? And the answer is some bikes suck. And I don't want you to end up buying those bikes that do suck. So I'm going to tell you about 7 bikes that don't suck, so you avoid the bikes that do suck. You know what I mean? So let's get right into it. Now, these bikes are in a particular order, okay? This order is determined from the value factor score. This is a scoring system within the Dougsterbob scoring system that determines how good a bike is based on value. How much bang are you getting for your buck? And that's what these bikes are ranked for. So the highest number one bike that doesn't suck is going to be the highest value factor score bike. If you want the score sheet that I used to get all this information, it's got over 80 bikes on there. It talks about how good they are for park, dirt, street, their quality, their value factor, so many different things. You can get that for free. Just click the link in the description, put in your information, and I will send it over to you. Okay, so get that. But anyway, let's get right into number 1, which is the Mongoose Legion L500. Yeah, you probably weren't expecting Mongoose on the list. Me either. I'm actually fairly impressed with this bike. Now, Mongoose gets a lot of hate because they are a Walmart brand and they don't put out the highest quality bikes and yada, yada, yada. But when I took a look at the Legion L500 last year, I was kind of blown away with the amount of quality that they put into this bike. Normally, I would not even include this. Like, I don't talk about Elite because I think Elite sucks. I don't talk about Mafia because I think Mafia sucks. And when I say they suck, their whole brand structure, their whole business model, that's what sucks, not necessarily the bikes. And Mongoose wouldn't be on this list at all, but Mongoose does so much for the sport. They sponsor events, they sponsor riders, they put money back into the BMX community, which is what we need. You don't see that from Mafia, Elite, and those other low-end bikes, those other low-end bike brands, but you do see that from Mongoose. So because of that, I was like, look, I'm going to go ahead and do a review on Mongoose. I'm going to figure out their scores, all that stuff. And the Legion L500 did surprisingly well. It scored a 10.69 in the value factor score. This is over 10, obviously, and all of these other bikes scored over 10. There's literally only 7 bikes that scored over a 10 in the value factor score, which should be impossible, but it's possible based on the price and everything like that. This bike scored over a 10, so it deserves that number 7 spot. There's 5 things that you need to know about the Legion. The Legion has a full chromoly, frame, forks, and bars. So surprisingly, the quality of the Legion is pretty good. Full chromoly. I always look for this chromoly frame, forks, and bars when I'm recommending bikes, especially for a mid-level rider. When you have chromoly here, you know that your bike's going to last a little bit longer than normal. Number 2 is it actually comes with double wall rims. I know, well, big surprise here. Full chromoly and double wall rims. Those are literally everything that I look at, and the Legion checks all of those boxes. It comes in 2 different color options. You'll need to choose between a black or a chrome. Both of these options look pretty sick, but they're pretty basic. There's, obviously bright yellow, bright green, bright red. Like, those are more extravagant. Black and chrome is pretty basic, but those are the 2 color options that the Legion comes in. Number 4 is it has a potential for small issues. And what I mean by that is these bikes are severely mass produced. They are just produced a lot more than other bikes, Fit and Kink, and those bikes don't produce the same amount of quantity as Mongoose. And generally, I'm going to say Mongoose is manufactured in a lower quality area. It's kind of rushed. And so what happens with that? Same thing that happens with most Walmart bikes is that you get little issues here and there. My pedal fell off. My brakes weren't tight enough. Like, just things like that really shouldn't happen, but are kind of skimmed over when you're producing thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of bikes. So you can just check out some different reviews on it, like on Amazon, and people have run into little issues here and there, more than you would expect from a different brand. And that's just something that comes with this bike being so mass produced and them pumping out so many quantities of it. Number 5, the 5th thing you need to know about this bike is that it's hard to find in stock. It's pretty hard to find in stock. You can maybe get it from Mongoose's website or Amazon. And those are really the only 2 places that I've seen it for sale. I don't know if they just don't have a distributor who puts it in bike shops, if their model's mostly direct to consumer, which is what it seems like, which that's a different topic. the different subject. But anyway, the Legion is going to be hard to find in stock if that's what you're looking for. And that's the fifth thing that you need to know about it. How much is the Mongoose Legion L500? It's only going to cost you $650. This has gone up significantly from 2021 to like 2022. Over the last year, it's gone up about $100. So for $650 on this bike, I don't know. I don't like this price as much as I did when it was over $500. Let's put it in the same ballpark as like the Kink Whip or the Colt Devotion, but now it's so expensive that it's not in the same playing field. But anyway, that's a pretty expensive bike. $650 for the Mongoose Legion. How much does the Mongoose Legion weigh? Well, it's a very heavy bike too. It weighs 29 pounds. This is almost 30 pounds. And a lot of people really consider weight when they're shopping for a bike. And if weight is your big concern, if you're a weight weenie, you do not want to get the Legion because it's very heavy. But because of the high quality frame, forks, bars, and double wall rims, this bike does not suck. But who is it for? Well, it's going to be for somebody who's technically a mid-level rider or progressing to a mid-level rider. If you like to ride a little bit of street, park, and dirt, and you know some basic tricks, getting the Legion will allow you to progress those skills and get better at riding while having a bike that can withstand to some of that riding that you're going to be doing ultimately. If you're a pro-level rider, obviously this is not good for you. If you're an expert rider, still not good. A beginner on their way to mid-level rider, this is a good bike for you. Coming in at number 6, the Subrosa Malum. The 2022 Subrosa Malum was just released and I was very impressed with it. I like the color options. I like the way it looks. It's a little sad that it doesn't come with pegs and hub guards like its brother, the Subrosa Letum, but the Malum is a good choice and it deserves its spot on the list because of its value factor score. The Malum scored an 11.52, almost 1 whole point higher than the Mongoose Legion. So you already know this is getting serious. There are 5 things that you need to know about the Subrosa Malum. The first thing, it's got that full chromoly that I always look for. The frame, forks, and bars, full chromoly with the Malum. This is going to last as you do big tricks, as you drop your bike, as you crash. It's going to last because it's full chromoly, and that's what you need when you're doing a certain level of tricks. Number 2 is that it has some aftermarket Subrosa, Rant, and maybe even some extra shadow parts sprinkled in there. Having a little bit of extra aftermarket parts on this bike can increase the longevity of the bike since aftermarket parts are going to be a lot stronger than stock parts. If you get a stock generic top load stem with your bike, it's not going to last as long as, say, a Subrosa Rose top load stem. That's an aftermarket stem that's going to last a lot longer than just a generic stem. Number 3, you've got to choose between trans teal or black. The black looks very clean and the trans teal is the same color as the Letum was last year. These are both pretty solid colors. Take a look at them, see which one you like better. Looking at just the geometry, this is generally considered a taller bike with a little bit more of a stable feel. Some certain specs on this bike make it more stable and more controlled than something like the Kink Switch or the Sunday Street Sweeper. And speaking of geometry, number 5 is that it's actually the same geometry as the Subrosa Letum. The only difference is the Malum doesn't come with pegs and hub guards like the Letum does. How much do you think the Subrosa Malum costs? Well, the 2022 Subrosa Malum is going to cost you about $635. This is quite a bit of money, but considering you're getting full chromoly on a bike that's going to last you a good amount of time, it's not too bad compared to some other options. How much does the Subrosa Malum weigh? It's a little heavy at 26.2 pounds. Mostly, I like to consider a bike under 25 pounds light. Around 26 is average, technically heavy. Nothing like the Mongoose Legion though. The Mongoose Legion's 3 pounds heavier than that, which is crazy. So this is a technically heavy bike, but compared to the Legion, it's not that heavy. And who is the Malum for? Well, when we look at the Dougsterbob scores, it doesn't score very high in street or very high in park, but it does score pretty high in dirt. Has a cassette, it has that stable geometry, so you will feel comfortable riding pump tracks and dirt jumps. Because of its mid-level quality, you're going to need to be below a mid-level and working towards that mid-level. It's got the full chromoly, like I said, so it can withstand as you progress. You learn bigger jumps, you learn bigger tricks. That quality is going to last for you. You don't want to be a really high-level rider or a really experienced rider on this bike because you're going to break it. So it's for a mid-level rider who likes to ride dirt or pump tracks and have a stable feeling bike. Number 5 on the list is one of my favorite bikes in 2022. This is the Kink Switch. The Kink Switch is a street machine. It's got a little bit of responsiveness and it has a weird color option. It's like, depending on which side you're looking at it, the color is different. Very strange, but this deserves this number 5 spot because of the value factor score. It scored an 11.5 in the value factor section, and there's 5 things that you need to know about it. Number 1, this is technically a high-level bike. It has the full chromoly frame, forks, bars, the double wall rims, and some aftermarket parts. The second thing is that this bike has a free coaster, so you can coast backwards freely without having to pedal backwards. This can increase your ability to unlock certain street tricks. Certain tricks are a lot easier with a free coaster. Number 3 is that weird color option that I mentioned. Like, just look at this. How crazy is it that one side is this color and the other side is this color? Very strange. Number 4 is that this bike is a little bit responsive. It has a 12.75 inch chainstay, which is going to make spins snap around pretty easy. It ultimately shortens the wheelbase, so the front wheel and the back wheel are closer together, which gives the bike more of a snappy and responsive feeling. And the 5th thing you need to know is that this bike actually comes with pegs. This is the first bike so far on our bikes that do not suck list that comes with pegs. So that's pretty exciting. If you like to do some grinds, you can get this bike, pull it out of the box, put it together, and do some grinds without having to buy pegs separately. How cool. How much does the Kink Switch weigh? Well, it's going to weigh 27.7 pounds. And remember, this is the weight with those 2 pegs. Now, pegs aren't super heavy, but they're pretty heavy. So you could consider, if you weren't going to ride those pegs, that the weight would be a little bit less. Now, how much does the Kink Switch cost? Well, it went up in price from 2021 to 2022, but the 2022 model is only going to cost you $599. For this bike, with the full chromoly, the free coaster, the pegs, you really can't go wrong for that price. With the amount of quality that it has and that price that they're asking, this bike definitely does not suck. Who is the Kink Switch for? Well, I recommend the Kink Switch to a lot of people who are perfect size for a 20.75 inch top tube. You don't want to get the wrong size top tube. So if you're the right height for a 20.75 inch top tube, you like to ride street, you want a bike that's ready for street right out of the box, and you need something with pretty good quality, the Kink Switch is going to be for you. All right, bike number 4 is going to be the Cult Control. And I've talked about this bike. I've overlooked it in the past, and I deeply regret it. This bike has an 11.6 value score. This is a pretty solid bike, and I never really gave it the time of day. I just assumed it was pretty low quality. But as I started reviewing it and looking deeper into it, the price blew me away. And then the actual quality that you were getting for that price impressed me a lot. And this has since become one of my favorite bikes and one of my top recommended bikes because it's incredible value. There's 5 things that you need to know about the Cult Control. The Cult Control is full chromoly, like I said, frame, forks, bars, all that stuff, full chromoly, just what you need when you're doing those tricks. Now, the second thing is slightly an issue. It has one single wall front rim, but the back rim's double wall. And while this isn't the end of the world because the back rim does take a majority of the impact when you're doing spins, having a single wall front rim can weaken the integrity of the bike and make it not last as long. So again, it's not the end of the world, but this is something to point out. Doesn't have both double wall rims. Number 3 is it has a 20.75 inch top tube. Just like the Kink Switch, this bike sits right in between a popular 20.5 inch and a popular 21 inch. It's right there in the middle. This is a good size for riders who are about 5'9" to 6 foot. 5'8" would be okay. Anywhere around there. Check the Dougsterbob size guide to make sure before you buy a bike, make sure you get the right top tube size. It's so important. Number 4, it does not come with any pegs or any hub guards. This can be a little disappointing because it's marketed as a street specific bike, but it doesn't have grind sticks. Why would you do that, Colt? Why? Number 5, you need to choose between a raw color or a black color. There's not very many color options on the Control like there is with the Gateway or the Devotion. 2 pretty basic color options. How much is the Cult Control? Well, the Cult Control is going to cost you about as much as the LG 34WP65CB 34-inch 21.9 curved ultra-ride QHD 3440 1440 VA display with 99% color gamut and HDR10 and 3-side virtually. It's about $500. It's gonna cost you $500, and this is a good price. This is the midpoint price that I think most parents can afford to buy their kids for their birthday or for Christmas. So I do think it's very important for brands to hit this price point to encourage parents buying a decent bike. So $500. How much does the Cult Control weigh? The answer here is a little hard to find. In 2021, the Cult Control weighed about 25 pounds. You cannot find a definite weight here, and I guess the best thing to do would actually be weigh it. I don't know why Cult doesn't provide the weight, but that's okay. We guesstimated 25 pounds for 2021. For 2022, they said, I don't know. And so you can guesstimate it's going to be about the same as 2021, but 2021 was a guesstimate too. So I don't know, if you Google how much it weighs, it's going to say about 25 pounds from my website. And we don't really know the exact weight, which is a little bit disappointing. Who's the Cult Control for? Well, based on just quality, this is one of the lower quality bikes that we've talked about so far, but it's also the most affordable. So this would be for someone who's got a really strict budget, but they still want a solid bike. They might not be able to spend $600 to $700 on a bike, but they still want something pretty solid that can last as they progress and as they learn tricks. That's who the Cult Control is going to be for. Number 3, the Subrosa Letum. You guys know, if you've watched my channel, I'm a huge fan of the Letum. This is actually the best street-specific BMX bike in 2021, and I'm sure when I do the 2022 bikes, this will also take the cake. This is a very good bike. Comes with everything you need to be street-specific. It's got the same geometry as the Malum, and it's pretty affordable. This is a great bike. Let's talk about why it's such a great bike. Well, first of all, it scored an 11.74 in the value factor, which is incredible. This is a good score. Not very many bikes score higher. The 5 things that you need to know about this bike are: it's full chromoly. Full chromoly frame, forks, and bars. I've told you why that's important. Full chromoly is so important if you're doing any kind of mid-level tricks. You've got to have this quality so that your bike doesn't blow up and hurt you. Number 2 is something that's incredibly exciting to me. It has 4 pegs and 4 hub guards. Pricing these out separately, you would expect to pay $100 to $200 on just pegs and hub guards alone. This is a huge added thing to this value factor. If you get this bike and pegs and hub guards are important to you, you don't have to buy pegs and hub guards separately. So therefore, you're going to save a good amount of money by just buying this bike and not buying the extra pegs and hub guards. Pegs and hub guards are expensive. You don't want to waste your money. The Subrosa Letum comes with them. Speaking of guarding your hubs, what about guarding your sprocket? Number 3 is that this sprocket comes with a bash guard. So if you're doing crooked grinds, you're doing sprocket stalls, that bash guard is going to protect your chain and it's going to protect your sprocket. This is something that street-specific riders really enjoy having so that they can mix up their tricks and not worry about breaking parts on their bike. Number 4 is that this has the same geometry as the Malum, which, like I said, was slightly mellow, slightly stable. And this is kind of contrary to other street-specific bikes. You look at the Kink Switch, responsive. The Sunday Street Sweeper, responsive. So to have a street-specific bike with more mellow geometry means that you're able to mix up your riding style a little bit. Now, maybe your style is not going to be super responsive. You can have more style, more flow without being so technical. The 2 color options are a red fade or a black fade. The homie Brian from the live streams has been looking at the Malum a lot, and then when they came out with the new colors, he was not a fan. I think the red fade's unique, but I agree with him. It's not like the best color. They're very unique colors, but are they actually the best colors? Take a look and let me know what you think. How much does the Subrosa Letum cost? Well, it's just over $600. It's about $604. 4 pegs, 4 hub guards, sprocket with a bash guard, full chromoly, double wall rims for $604. You're getting an incredible bike. But how much does the Subrosa Letum weigh? It's pretty heavy. It's going to be about 28.4 pounds. But if you think about this, I mean, maybe it's just for me. If you walk into the gym, you grab a 25-pound dumbbell or even a 30-pound dumbbell, like that's not too hard to carry. And you consider you've got all those pegs, all those hub guards, you've got that bash guard, like for it to weigh that much and have all that stuff on there, is that really that bad? I don't think so. You could change out the tires, you could change a few things to cut down that weight and still have a fairly light bike with the pegs and the hub guards. The Subrosa Letum is for a rider who really really like street riding. Street riding should be your main focus. You should want to ride street. You should want to know how to smith on the left, smith on the right, ice pick, feeble, crooked, 360 grind, like you need to want to learn every street trick for this to be the right bike for you. It's so street specific right out of the box that if you're questioning whether or not you're a street rider, you should get something else and dabble in street before you go full send into this one. Number 2 has been a fan favorite for quite a long time. This is the Colt Devotion. I get a lot of questions on whether the Colt Devotion's better than the Kink Whip, and well, there's a few differences that you would have to decide. The Colt Devotion's the most expensive Colt complete bike. It's very solid. It's got everything you need as a mid-level rider. This is a great bike. The value factor score of the Colt Devotion is 11.93, making it number 2 on our list. I'm really excited about this bike, so let's talk about the 5 things that you need to know about it. 1, it's full chromoly. Just like the other bikes, full chromoly frame, forks, and bars, this is a great bike for a rider who needs full chromoly to withstand to their level of riding. Number 2, it's got Colt match double wall rims. So these aren't just your average double wall rims. These are actually aftermarket double wall rims. And this is good because it goes like single wall rims, double wall rims, aftermarket double wall rims. These are close to the highest quality double wall rims that you'd be able to buy. Number 3 is this is the highest quality and the most expensive complete bike in Colt's line. They don't go super crazy like the Kink Williams or the Sunday Soundwave. They stop right here at about the highest part of the mid-level with the Colt Devotion. Number 4. It comes with 2 pegs, but 0 hub guards. And this doesn't really make sense to me. Some bike brands do just hub guards and no pegs. Some bike brands do just pegs and no hub guards. So if you get this bike, you're going to have to buy some hub guards, or I would recommend getting some hub guards to go with the 2 pegs that come with the Devotion. Number 5 is the Devotion should only be chosen over the Kink Whip if you are a taller rider. So the Kink Whip comes in 20.5. The Colt Devotion is a very tall and mellow bike. It comes in 21. So if 20.5 is right for you, don't even consider the Devotion and look at the Kink Whip. If 21's right, you're going to be comparing between the Kink Whip XL or the Colt Devotion because they're both 21-inch top tubes. And from there, you need to look at a few different things. The Devotion costs a little bit more. The Devotion has pegs, and the Devotion has more of a stable back end. Think about that when you're looking for the 2, or get a free bike recommendation from me. The link's in the description. Just fill out some info. I will look it over, and I'll send you a recommendation for 3 bikes that are literally perfect for you. The Colt Devotion is going to cost about $569. It's creeping up to that $600 price range, but in their 2022 line, Colt was able to keep it under $600 and keep the price increase to a minimum. I think the Devotion only increased about $40, where some other bikes were increasing from $100 to $200 from their 21 to 2022 models. The weight for the Colt Devotion is a question mark, just like the Colt Control. We can assume it's around 25 pounds, just like the 2021 model, but we're not 100% sure. So I'm going to guess around 25 pounds, but I don't know for sure. The Colt Devotion is going to be a good choice for a taller rider. This 21-inch top tube and 13.65-inch chainstay gives the bike a long wheelbase, makes it feel really stable and really controlled. If you enjoy riding big ramps, going high and fast, big dirt jumps, or even pump tracks, this is going to be a good bike for you. It has that mid-level quality that can withstand big tricks and big gaps as you progress as a better rider. I'm really excited for this one, and you guys probably already know what it is. It is the Kink Whip. That's right. The 2022 Kink Whip has been one of my favorite bikes over the last couple years. This bike always delivers full chromoly. It's very affordable. Like, Kink checks all the boxes on the Kink Whip, and it makes it just such a good bike for riders getting back into the sport because the value is incredible. By incredible value, I mean a 13.8 value score. This is the highest score in all of value scores. This bike cannot get any better. The only thing that would make it better is a Sunday Soundwave complete bike for $500 or for $400. That's it. That is the only thing that could make a better value score. The Kink Whip is the best value BMX bike in 2021, 2022, and from 2021 to 2022, the price only went up like $50. So Kink kept it real. They stayed with their pricing and just adjusted as much as they needed to. They could have made this bike $600 and it would still be a top seller and a top value score, but they don't. They don't take advantage of you. They keep it real. They charge what they need to cover the bike and to make some money and make sure that you get a great bike for a great price. Now, the 5 things that you need to know about the Kink Whip are: it's full chromoly. Full chromoly frame forks and bars. Now, it's not aftermarket chromoly, but this is still full chromoly, which is a big step up from high tensile steel. Number 2, double wall rims. Some of the bikes on this list did not come with 2 double wall rims. This is something that sets the Kink Whip aside from the Colt Control. The Kink Whip has 2 double wall rims, and despite being the same price, it's going to be a better bike because it comes with 2 double wall rims. Number 3, I already said it, this is the best value score on there. You cannot go wrong with this value score. It's the best. Number 4 is a cool one because it comes in a 20.5 inch top tube or a 21 inch top tube. This makes it easier for taller riders or smaller riders to get a great bike in the right size, because certain sizes are not right for everybody. So I'm very happy that Kink offers a 20.5 and a 21 inch option. The 5th thing is that it has a few aftermarket parts sprinkled in there, like the Kink Bold HRD stem and some other Kink Hemlock pedals, some other things in there. These aftermarket parts are going to be better than generic parts, and I'm really excited about that. As far as price, how much does the Kink Whip cost? Well, the Kink Whip is going to be $499, right at that $500 price point that I talked about earlier. Such an important price point for parents to buy the right bike and to not feel so pressured. I think most people would spend this much on birthday, on Christmas, and even buy it for themselves. This is a great price. Going over it gives people kind of like an anxiety feeling, like if this was $550, it just doesn't hit the same, you know? So $500 for the Kink Whip, great price. How much does it weigh? And this part is a little bit of a downer. It weighs 27.7 pounds. This is with no pegs, no hub guards. So it's close to the weight of the Subrosa Letum, which has 4 pegs, 4 hub guards, and a sprocket with a bash guard, but the Whip doesn't have any of those things. This is a heavy bike, and this is my biggest problem with the Kink Whip. Even though I really don't have any problems, this would be it. This would be the number 1 problem. It's pretty heavy, 27.7 pounds. Very heavy. But who is the Kink Whip for? The Kink Whip gets recommended to so many different people with my free bike recommendations because it comes in those 2 different options. So if you're a rider that's right for a 20.5 or you're a rider that's right for a 21, you're looking for a bike that can last at a mid-level quality and doesn't break the bank, the Kink Whip is going to be for you. It's pretty general with a stronger score in dirt. So if you ride a little bit of everything, but primarily pump tracks or dirt, the Kink Whip is going to be a good choice for you. Just make sure that you are the right size for either the 20.5 or the 21. All of these bikes deserve these 7 spots. The Kink Whip obviously is going to be number 1 because of that incredible value score. But here's the thing, guys. The best bike for you might not be any of these bikes. If you're a really small rider, you need a 20.00 inch top tube. None of these bikes are on there. So you need to get the free bike recommendation from me so that I can send you bikes that are perfect for you. I don't want you to buy any of these and get the wrong bike just because they're great bikes. They are incredible bikes. These are the 7 bikes that do not suck this year, so they are all amazing, but you don't want to get the wrong one. You don't want to get the wrong size. You don't want to, so many different things. Fill out the free bike recommendation so that I can recommend the bike. Just be patient. It takes me a day or so. Other than that, guys, let me know which video you want to see next. Thank you so much for being a part of the community, and peace. What's up, guys? I've been giving Danscomp my money since I started riding BMX, and now I have the opportunity to get you a gift card so that you can buy your own bike parts and upgrade your bike, freshen up your bike. I'm partnering with my friends at Danscomp to give you a $100 gift card to use to buy whatever you need for your bike. It's super simple. All you need to do is click the link in the description. It'll walk you through what you need to do to enter, and we're gonna pick 4 winners per year. So the chances are pretty heavily in your favor. All you need to do, click that link, go check it out. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. But look, your bike is literally begging you to do this. That squeaky chain, get that fixed, man. Enter to win this gift card, and good luck.